and welcome to Rebel Hearted. Today I'm super excited because I have my dear friend Naomi with me, and I just want to introduce her in a way that would be so much better spoken than if I were to lead you down the path of stories that I can tell you about Naomi. So here we go. With over 12 years experience in the wellness industry, Master Coach Naomi Calderon believes we all have it in us to thrive. By unlocking the secrets to ditching the fraud of busy, entrepreneurs can finally trade in the hustle hard mindset by applying the tenets of 5 elements of Chinese medicine to life and business for true momentum, energy, and delight. Welcome, Naomi.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure, Lisa.
I'm super excited to have you here today. And you are going to be sharing with us top 3 tips. What are those top 3 tips about?
The top 3 tips to ditching hustle hard to avoid burnout and still get shit done.
I love it because who needs dead and dying adrenals, right?
Oh, Lord. If you can, avoid it, folks. I'm telling you. Learn from my mistakes.
So you've experienced it personally. You have been through burnout.
Oh, yes. Tapped out my adrenals. It's like, they're like, that's it. I'm out. So, yes, I have experienced it myself. And that's even being in the wellness industry and quote, knowing what to look for, knowing what I should do, that kind of thing. And it's really prevalent in our culture. So I'm here to give you hope, people. If you're finding yourself in that space, be gentle with yourself, you know?
Absolutely. I've been there. And in fact, when I first started coaching, I used to talk about being the queen of burnout because that used to be my go-to. So, well, let's dive right in. Give us your first tip to ditching the hustle hard.
First tip to ditching the hustle hard is put yourself first on your calendar. When you sit down and plan your calendar, I don't care if you plan by quarter, by month, by week, whatever it is you do, even if you have things that you know, like, okay, my networking event is always the second Tuesday of the month, blah, blah, blah. Even if you know it, don't put it down first. Put yourself in it first. And the reason for that is, especially those of you who are women, men who are listening, you guys tend to go there too. But women especially, we tend to put everyone else first. And we put our attention on them first and our intention on them. And by physically putting yourself first, you start to acknowledge that you are equally important in your life.
Absolutely. And when we're able to acknowledge that, hey, like I deserve to take up space, I matter, I deserve to go first in my own life, because if we're not first in our own, whose life are we first in?
Only the people who want stuff from us.
Right? It's not very nourishing, that's for sure.
No.
Do you have a recommendation for how much time people should be blocking out for themselves? Or are you just like, make sure that you are blocking out some time for yourself?
I think everybody has to decide that for themselves. Now, I would love it if everybody took a day during the month that was just for them to do whatever they felt like. However, for some people, a full day off when they've got, 5 kids and a husband and a business and may not be feasible. So for them, it might be, you know what, I took an hour that was just for me. It wasn't my gym time. It wasn't any of the errand running. It wasn't whatever. Maybe it's just an hour. Maybe it's an hour a week. I think everybody has to determine that for themselves.
I like it. So there's no it must look this way. It's what fits best for you.
Everybody knows their own life and their own commitments. I was going to use the O word, but I'm going to avoid it. Their own commitments, their own pace, And it may be for some people, it feels like a stretch to do, so they might have to start with 30 minutes a week because even that's uncomfortable. And they may end up in a year going, you know what, I'm taking a whole day to myself. So sometimes we have to baby step it just like a workout because it might be a new muscle. But everybody knows their own situation and their own life. So no, I don't believe there is a set formula, but I do believe it's important for us to take that time each, if possible, each week, really.
I like it. What's step number 2? What's tip number 2?
Tip number 2 is stop saying yes where a no will serve you better. Bam.
Can you give us an example of that?
Oh, my gosh. Yes. So I am the queen of, oh, my God, that sounds like fun, right? So I have a tendency to say yes to a lot of things because I kind of have shiny object syndrome where it comes to events and organizations. And so when people are like, oh, hey, I have this event, I'm on this board, and I'm just like, oh, fun, yay, do all the things. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, dear God, when do I sleep? So it isn't that those things aren't important, but they may or may not fit in with what I've set as my goal, as my intention for how I want to live my life. Because if I say I want to live my life with ease and peace and whole health, and I'm saying yes to everything and burning myself out, that's not in alignment. So when people come to me and they're like, hey, I have this project, or hey, I'm on this board, one of the, a personal example is one of the nonprofit groups that I'm a part of here locally. It's a local group called Valley Resource Center, and they have a ton of different events every month, and some are standing events and some are not. And the woman who runs it, the CEO, she always posts the events in our members group, but also online publicly. But in the members group, she's like, hey, who can help? We have this booth, blah, blah, blah. And it used to be my MO to just be like, yep, I'll be there, yep, I'll be there, yep, I'll be there, to everything, except for the polar bear swim, not doing that. I'm not nuts. And what I have learned is I need to actually stop and look at my calendar, because sometimes I would put things in and then I'd have to rearrange my schedule because I'd either double book or because I didn't allow enough time in between, or I'd say yes to something on a day that was already really packed, and that simply adds to that burnout. So I've gotten a lot better at really evaluating, is this something I need to say yes to, not just wanting to say yes to, but is this important for me to say yes to? Does it fit in with what my goals and my priorities are? Does it take me closer to or away from my intention? And so I've gotten also good. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, carry on.
I've gotten much better at saying, wow, that sounds really great. When do you need to know by? Because if I just knee-jerk, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I look at my calendar and it's like, oh, crap, I can't. I've got 5 other things scheduled right then and there. It just puts me in a state of stress, feeling like I need to figure out how to work it out. Whereas if I'm like, hey, when do you need to know by? Then I can check my calendar. I can check in with my half side. Does he have something scheduled that I don't have on my calendar? So it's really helpful in that way.
I love it. Last year I started a practice that I found made such a difference for me, and it was that I wouldn't say yes to something. I had to give myself a minimum of a 24-hour buffer.
Nice.
So I just say to people, I'll let you know in 24 hours or more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I need to take 24 hours to decide if this is a yes or a no, unless I knew that it was a no right away. You know?
Then you don't need to take that 24 hours, right?
Right. Then it was just like, thanks, and I'm already joyously occupied doing XYZ, or no thank you. Thanks for thinking of me, and no thank you.
And that's a perfect way of putting, oh, I can't, I'm sorry. Well, versus I'm otherwise occupied. I'd love to. However, my time is already allocated at that point. Even if that allocation is I am binge watching Netflix with my husband. Because
right.
It's okay to do that. It's a lot like if we're always saying, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I can't do that. There's an energetic in it. Whereas if I'm like, my time is allocated elsewhere, it's a different shift.
And you don't have to give a big explanation.
No. Oh, my God, I totally would. Blah, 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 blah. No, nobody needs to hear that.
Like, I often think when I go to give reasoning, like the extensive reasoning, whoa, if somebody were turning around and giving me all this extensive reasoning as to why they can't do something, would I give a shit? Like, and I mean it like, would I really need to hear all those weird words, or would no suffice? No would suffice. Okay, good. Then why what am I trying to do with all these extra words over here?
Uh-huh.
So.
Am I rationalizing? And that's a great place for people to look and do, because there may be some work to do if you find that you feel the need to over-explain to somebody if you're about to say no, or if you start feeling like you're rationalizing and having to take a look at that, because there may be some hidden people-pleasing crap happening that you might want to ditch.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Tip number 3. Hit us with it.
Listen to your body and live with the seasons and the energies of it. And that's probably like 5 tips wrapped into one.
What, like the quickest way that you can describe listening to your body, what can people do to help them to do that?
That's a great question. So probably the first thing is just pay attention. Pay attention where and when you have the most energy. We live in cycles. We live in the cycles of the seasons. We live in the cycles of the month, especially for women. We live in the cycles of the moon. There's all these cycles. Life is cyclical. We live in cycles of being children, being teenagers, young adults, middle age. We end up going through the transition, the change, and end up, I like to say, the wise woman. I don't like to say I'm a crone. That's brings up horrible visuals for me. So the wise woman. But there's all these cycles and seasons we live in. And so it's about paying attention. Where and when is your energy highest? Where is it lowest? During the day, during the week. And start paying attention to your body's natural energies. When we do that, when we start noticing, oh my gosh, I'm always waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I can tell you that, your liver might be going, I need a little attention. Can you give me a little balancing? And or it could be hormonal. That time of night, usually one or the other. But our body gives us clues and keys on what we need, but we're so accustomed to living based on the time clock or our calendar or our obligations that we don't pay attention to energetically what we are needing. So pay attention.
I love it. Do you have a quick tool that would help people track that, whether or not it's something brilliant that you've created or one that you've used for yourself or anything like that?
I like to tell my clients, track it how it works for you. So if for you, I put it on a sticky pad and I've got like 800 sticky notes on the front of my fridge, great. If you keep it in your day timer or calendar, I'm a paper girl, so I like to track that kind of stuff in my paper calendar. In a journal, if you keep like a little journal notebook with you all the time, keep it in there. Whatever works for you. When I'm working with clients, when they're needing to rebuild their energy, because most of us, and when I say in this country, I realize you're in Canada, but really in our culture, not just our country here in the U.S., but our culture in today's world tends to be, let's burn ourselves out. And most of us are yin deficient, especially as we start hitting an interesting age. And so we have to replenish that. So it really takes focus, and it doesn't matter how you track it. I'm a paper girl, so I'll do paper and pen before I do anything else. If you're electronic and you've got some app in your phone, fabulous. Track it that way. The big thing is to start noticing the cycles, noticing the patterns, because we all have them, and that's where you can start getting curious and start uncovering what you need to focus on to make a shift.
I love it. So can you recap your top 3 tips for us one more time, just, 1, 2, and 3, so that those that are tuning in and catching the tail end, they know what to expect when they start all over from the beginning?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Tip number 1, put yourself on your calendar first. Number 2, stop saying yes where a no will serve you better. And number 3, listen to your body so that you can live seasonally and with the cycles, the natural cycles of life.
Yes, I love it. Now, where can people find more of you?
You can find more of me both online at naomicalderon.com, or also you can track me down on Facebook, facebook.com/sunflowersage.
I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to my dear friend Naomi. I love all the wisdom that she had to bring. Thank you, Naomi, for joining us. And I look forward to next week when we have yet another guest talking to us about their top 3 tips. These episodes release on Thursdays. If you know of somebody that would be a great guest or a great topic, please reach out to me at Lisa Freed on Facebook. Thank you, everyone, and have an amazing week. Bye for now, everyone.
Thanks, Lisa.